Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my short motivation series titled Inspiration. I've taken some time to kind of disconnect from the internet a little bit, and I was hoping to deliver you guys some more promising results with this series. I have been juggling with so much at the moment, and it's kind of interfered a lot with what I'm currently doing and what I want to do, such as YouTube. You guys know I've said this before in a million times. I'll say it again. I love doing YouTube. I would never break off of it for any reason, unless it was a serious inconvenience to me and I couldn't properly produce the best content for you guys. But I'm fully capable of doing so, and I feel like part of me has lacked a little bit on that area where I haven't given it my all. I definitely wanted to come back today and reintroduce this series because I didn't really say much of it in my last video. What my goals are, what the intention is, what each episode will look like, and I feel like I should redirect it a little bit. So welcome again. This is a motivational series called Inspiration. My goal of this series is to introduce you guys to new ideas. A lot of the creative industry is sort of lacking that motive to begin what they want to do, continue what they're doing, and kind of work off of that. And my goal with this is to really produce content that speaks to you in a new way. I will take my experience and push it forward towards your experience with the intention and goal of you pursuing it even more and reaching to new levels in yourself. I have learned a ton of things over the past couple months of working closely as a creative with other creatives and just closely with myself. I really have no directive going into this industry, have no prior experience with working with this. So I'm going to this very blindsided, and I think that's what scares a lot of creatives nowadays, is going into something unknown, taking the full risk for it and seeing how it plays out. But not everything is destined to play out as you make it. You're not, always guaranteed success with every little step. And I've definitely found that from very early on. I feel like there's always just something that might block me from reaching my best potential and kind of getting forward to that next step. So with that, I thought that this series could serve as a great way to connect, to network, to think, and to thrive in your environment that you're planning to go in or already in, and kind of pushing forward. And through my advice, I hope that it gives you guys a more clear perspective of how everything's not supposed to work out first try. You're not expected to know everything. It's always okay to be open to changes, have an open mind, and I think that's really important with going into the field, is being able to think in a more complex way rather than sticking to the book. So in the next few episodes of this series, I'm really intending to do a lot more with speaking to you one-on-one from my experience, and then as we develop, I would love if you guys had questions, comments, or anything you really just wanted to put out there as a topic for me to go over a little bit more, because I really want to make sure that you guys are heard. I'm kind of reaching on your aspect and your level. So if you're watching this and you have any recommendations for a new topic or something of the source, be sure to comment it in my comment box. Subscribe, like, comment. Make sure that you're really getting yourself out there with this, because I really want to take it as a chance, as a new opportunity for you guys to expand your mind and for me to reach you on that level. So I think an important thing of being creative is always, being by each other's side. Like I said, we really aren't known to any of this process. There's no set in stone rule book that we're going by. It's all through our heads and our hearts of what we really think is destined for us. So I'd love to just take this journey with every single one of you who's interested in learning more about the field and gaining that confidence to really begin. I hope that gives a more proper explanation of where I'm really heading with this project. I would love for just new commentary, new faces to kind of join us along the way. We'll see where it goes. A lot of it, again, is very unpronounced, but the most important thing with doing something creative is actually starting it. So I have been a creative for less than a year officially. I have been planning it for a while, and for me the research was really about digging deep in myself first and foremost before looking anything up on the internet or Google search. It was really thinking about why I wanted to do this, what my intentions were, where I kind of wanted to lead with it. In high school, I was presented with the big question of, what do you want to do in your life? Where do you want to go? What paths do you want to go down? And what things are you going to learn and take in school at the moment now to kind of pursue that and get colleges interested in what you're doing. I had no idea. I had to write this basically all in an essay. I had to present it to my teachers, college mentor. Like, I had to kind of set this in stone very early on. Of course, they don't expect you to know everything. I mean, I don't know how anyone's expected to know anything at the ripe age of 18 or 19 of what exactly they want to do. You know, there's so many hiccups in the road that can move you to another side of the scale. Like, you're just really not destined for something that you might think you are. That can just take a big toll on who you're meant to be and where you're kind of going to go with that. So a lot of it does stem from your self-discovery. You have to really dig deep into yourself and think, what is the purpose of my life? Big question to ask at such a young age, but it's quite vital to kind of move on with the process. It's really the step that you must take, or you must even start at that age to really know what you're destined to. So I grew up with a sibling who, he is a music artist. He's been doing it since he was 10 years old in our basement. Loved music. He had all types of instruments and everything. And it was just astounding to watch him pursue that. And when you're influenced in that way of what you're seeing and what you're taking in from a family member, and basically on a daily basis is what you see, it's really inspiring. I took it to heart and I really thought about, you know, what could be done in my perspective, like what I could do as well. That's something that I love and I could produce for the world. He works with a lot of big time artists now. He has stuff with Pooh Shiesty, like literally big time shots up to Lil Uzi Vert. Like, it's insane. So from him starting from a young age and kind of working off of that, it was really something that I envied a lot and saw as an opportunity to kind of think in my own way of how I can be creative. I started my journey with modeling. I did a ton of research for an entire year, basically, on modeling. You know, I did a lot of runway videos, interviews with models, you know, that type of thing, and then also gaining information of basic internet research on the types of modeling, what might be required for modeling, like all this kind of stuff. And I gained a lot of useful information from both real experiences and research, because I realized a lot of it was very much hard work. It's not easy to be a model. From what I've seen, is models have to be presented in a way that's very infatuating. You're exposing your body in several different ways for different shoots, and you sign a contract and you basically have someone else taking control of your person and putting you in their vision and their shoes. So I contemplated a lot with what I could do with this, how I could benefit from it. Everyone has the typical standards of models not eating, them being depressed, having to be super thin on a weight scale to make the cut for a show. And that was something I really did not want to direct myself towards. I wanted to stay away from doing any sort of changing of who I am already. In this day and age, modeling has so many levels and skills you can present with and can work with. So I didn't want to be stuck with something that was as written as the old rule book of modeling. I did not want to stand with that, and I really wanted to go off my own league as well and not really be directed by somebody else. I decided my best bet would be for freelance modeling. I debated editorial and runway for quite some time, but a lot of that is through an agency, especially with big time brands or big runway shows like Victoria's Secret runway show. A lot of it is kind of circus through agencies and networks. I was sad I couldn't do it. It's just a lot of it was following a certain guideline, and I really wanted to go off on my own, because then again, you're doing something creative, you must be comfortable with doing it. And if I'm not comfortable, it's not my place to go down that path, and I don't think it would work out in the better end. So if I was there now, I probably wouldn't have been doing everything else I'm doing. And coming out with my first magazine, I think I would have been so restrained for time and just my overall life. So I decided that for now, with everything that's going on with my ordinary life, I could clash it with something of my interest, but just in a different way. I started with small shoots for friends that I know in the area. I've done some summer shoots, and I've worked with local small brands that are looking for ambassadors or small face models. I took my digitals, I got my measurements, and everything was kind of placed out on paper, and I would send it to these small brands to kind of promote myself. I did a few interviews with a few brands, answered some questions, and I really just got to understand the life of a model from a small business perspective, I've enjoyed every single brand network that I've worked with, only because everyone is just so kind. They're so patient with you, especially starting something that can be as uncomfortable as modeling. It's so important to work with people that really value both your time and your respect. I've met a lot of brands who are very scamish, and they obviously won't really protect you as far as their any sort of nudity or anything like that. At the end of the day, they just have the say of what goes on their website or on their Instagram social media pages. It's kind of all up to them. That's why it's super important to think about what your boundaries are in a major industry like this. You need to figure out what you can be comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, because regardless, as a model, you don't really have a say in a lot of things. You're kind of just sticking to what they want you to do rather than working off your own creative freelance. It is hard to have a say. So that also came with the self-discovery of it, and once I started developing myself more into it, I also thought about that. And now, come to this day, I don't really do as much modeling. I've kind of stepped away from it, as you guys know, as I have my business. I really kind of just step back and put myself in the shoes of the brands or the businesses that I worked with, and working with a bigger team now and kind of fluctuating that is a whole nother thing. Now, a lot of people ask how I started what I do as a business right now. And it's literally the simplest answer, and it's what you should be doing if you haven't already. It's just about getting started. It's literally going to your work spot and producing your thoughts and your visions into a real life situation. I did not start this business with a direction or a lead visual. I started it based off one idea in my head, and that was the idea that 2026 is the new 2016. It was that specific quote. And that kind of took me to think, how can I expand this trademark of the year and change it into something that might leave more of a legacy than just the statement itself? So I contemplated a lot of what I wanted this to be. A lot that's in the market kind of goes through its trial and errors. I didn't want to do a skincare brand or a beauty brand just because I felt like that wasn't really emphasizing the point of what I wanted to get across. I didn't want to do just yet a clothing line or any sort of apparel or accessories, because then again, following under the same category of what I'm looking for, but not exactly persuading the meaning behind it. Come to think of it, I came up with the idea of going to the past and the flashbacks and grabbing the idea of a magazine. Not so common anymore, and it's really not popular among teens as we have phones and social media that we kind of gain our information off of. But to those who, yearn for the past of the 2000s and bringing it back, I believe that this was one step of bringing it closer. So now, come to think of it, I am 3 days out from publishing my first magazine issue for my first ever brand. It's just crazy to think of. Like, I can't believe that this started as an idea in literally January, so less than a year, and is now becoming a full-fledged business that I take ownership of and work with as a team. And in such a short time, it's really just about starting it and taking it to somewhere that is the unknown, but developing it into something that you stand on your ground as. So I think a lot too of what people I think really struggle with is when the right time is for things. So I didn't have a right time. I think I started the business on the most random day because I woke up and I was like, I might as well just start this idea and do it, Like, I really didn't sit down and think, when should I do it? When's the appropriate time? Because really no time is the appropriate time. But the more that you dwell or worry and linger that idea that you have in your head and how well or not well it might do, the longer you will set back. And I don't mean like set back in your personal life or your personal goals. I mean in the developmental game that is your idea for a business or a product. If you have an idea on something, it's pretty common that the idea kind of expands more and more by the days or the weeks. You get so many flooded ideas that it takes a toll on you, and you really don't know what direction you first led with. And then it eventually overflows, and you're kind of cram jammed in your head of all your creative ideas and chronicle thinking. It's like, where did time go? Like, I swear I had so many ideas, and all of a sudden my mind goes blank because your mind is experiencing an overload, and it literally just shuts down because everything is just too much in your brain to handle. It's a gift, but it's also the reason that might be stopping you from what you want to do. There's two kind of minds. There's the cognitive thinking, which is your personal thoughts and your emotions and your reflections and your experiences. Everything that you as a daily human being experience, it all goes into that thinking. And then there's creative thinking, which is your ideas, your visions. So with these two in mind, them clashing together is the exact opposite thing you want them to do. Whether you're already started a business or you're thinking of starting one or producing a product or a service, the more that they clash together, the more you will get lost in your own thoughts. And everything that you once had set away in that category will clash with your personal, and all of a sudden, nothing makes sense. And with that too, if you have the ongoing fear or the worry that what you're doing isn't meant for you or you shouldn't be doing it, that also can influence how you create and how you think further. And it also might just simply stop you. It might simply stop the whole idea together. And this creative thinking will just go out the way. And all you're left with is your cognitive thinking, which is basically simple thoughts such as, should I go to the grocery store today? Should I read a book today? Did I take my dog for a walk? I think it's so valuable that you hold on to the creative thinking. Humans are desired to create. We're desired to inspire. Without the creative thinking, we're really not putting ourselves to our full potential every single day. We are losing sight basically of ourselves and getting caught into our daily lives without taking a moment to revert back to that innocence. I refer creative thinking as your childhood thoughts, your imagination you had when playing with your Barbies, or the imaginary friend that you had going to preschool every single day out the window. That's your creative thinking. It's literally your childhood imagination taken to the next level of maturity and development. Without your creative thinking, there really isn't a match for what you can do. One big question is, how can I maintain the creative thinking with my cognitive thinking? Because obviously you think different thoughts every single day, and to maintain them individually and maneuver them individually is super important in this industry. One thing that I love to do in the creative thinking zone is to take creativity to different levels, different places. I love to paint on the side. I like to draw. I've been doing it for a couple summers. And the great thing about painting is that you really don't have to follow, again, a certain guidebook or anything. You can see like the visual on Pinterest, but you can take the colors and expand it more and twist it your own way from the original. Similarly, if you like to read, reading's also a great outlet. Read a new chapter and you're getting more and more into a story. Every single day, your creative thinking is expanding off of the story and you're gaining more knowledge from it. Not only does your secret conscience pick up on this information and can help you produce new things, but it's also growing. You're teaching it to continue to grow and that there is room for it to expand. So with this outlet, you're like truly able to sit with yourself and resort to different ideas. With your cognitive thinking, which is literally everyday things, like as I said, it's getting a new item at the grocery store, something you've never tried before and wanted to try before, or it's visiting a new vacation spot with your friends. That's feeding into your cognitive thinking. You're building on your experiences. You're ultimately living new experiences and developing a second hand from it, and it goes into your memories. Every single thing that you do, every action you take, and every opportunity that you take granted for, there is always a consequence with the action. But I see it as the consequence, you can choose your consequence. It's inevitable that they are always either good or they're bad. There's really no in between. But the great thing about things being great or bad is you can always make it into something beautiful. Every experience has the chance to live a new life, and every consequence creates that life by putting the stepping stones in place to your end goals. It might redirect you, They might serve a different purpose for later on, and they are creating the path that you are meant to go down to. I take every experiences very seriously. I don't really see a disconnect between any of them. I think that they're all meant to be. You are going through things that are meant for you. You can rewrite the story that you're destined to. So personally, that is how I view the differences between your cognitive and creative thinking. There's so many ways that you can just feed into it and contribute to it and make it grow. What doesn't help though is not doing anything. But again, the beautiful thing is of taking bad experiences and turning it into something beautiful is it can happen to anybody. It's simple as that. Anybody can take something bad and turn it into something good. It's always for the plan that you are meant to go down to. There is a difference between creative thinking and thinking creatively. As I said before, your creative thinking is your ability to think outside the box, and it's what came from your first thought that you had in your head. Thinking creatively differs by a million. Anybody can think creatively. Anyone can come up with an idea that's so great, will change the world, but creative thinking is not granted to everybody. Not everybody has the ability to constantly think in a creative manner. They can think creatively in the moment, but they might not fulfill a creative thinking purpose. Creative thinkers are constantly on the go. There's literally no stop to the ideas that you gain. It's about working closely with yourself and discovering parts that reach you to your greatest potential. That's why I believe creatives are so undervalued. There is so much that is secretly being created in the world right now, whether it's on a medical level or an engineering level or in the arts. Important thing about that is people are doing what they are interested in and they are expressing it in their products. This is a big reason why I even started my business. I wanted creatives to be seen and heard and not feel so much as an outcast. And it bothers me that the idea of being creative cannot be professional. There's someone out there who thinks that being a creative is not possible, then I literally sit here and challenge you to discover yourself and think creatively. The more we get in touch with our inner selves, our childlike selves, our teen selves, and our adult selves, the more we come to discover that there is so much left unfolded, but there's already so much that we've seen. Do some self-discovery, look inward at yourself, and think who you want to be and who you think you're destined to be. And the more things will click, the more opportunities you'll get, the more that ideas will start to make sense, and the more alive you will feel in this world. And I promise you that. I promise that being creative will make you feel more alive. I hope you guys enjoyed this first official episode of my inspirational series. A lot of my personal thoughts always stem from creative thinking, and I actually spoke this entire episode with my creative thinking on the topic of creatives. I don't know how that's possible, but we did it. All jokes aside, I truly think that everybody is capable of creatively thinking. It doesn't happen all the time, but there is always room for you to take it to the next level. Really get in touch with what moves you and what speaks to you. Make Them Famous Issue 1 comes out this Thursday, July 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you guys are interested in learning more about what I have to say, kind of on this topic, but kind of also on different topics, be sure to be there when the magazine comes out at www.makethemfamous.world live at 10 a.m. Eastern. Grab your digital copy, secure it in hand. I am currently in the works of getting the magazine professionally published. Does take some time though, so I will have that done soon though. I know a lot of people have been wishing for this magazine to be unprinted, so I again am working towards that. And once I get everything finalized with the legal stuff, then I will be able to do that for you guys and sell it on poster basis and on print versions. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe Follow all my socials, follow all of Make Them Famous socials. Keep in touch on Instagram or YouTube to get in contact with me. I would love to hear from anybody watching your opinions, any topics you want me to cover, even work one-on-one with you to help you expand your ideas. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I will see you in the next series video. Stay tuned, guys. Peace out. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. And every time I sing it, listen, listen. All of my pain melts.